on the Harbor One hotline. It is Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk and the author of the forthcoming book, Father of Mine, the man who broke the Patriots internet yesterday with his report that, per a source with knowledge of the situation, Bill Belichick has been shopping Mac Jones to multiple teams. Mike, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
How you doing? Were you surprised by the reaction yesterday to that report?
I don't know that surprise is the word. I mean, it's the next logical step in a dysfunctional relationship that's been in existence for at least the last 9 months or so, ever since Mac Jones realized that he went from one of the great offensive minds in football to this Frankenstein monster that Bill Belichick decided to put together, right? I mean, we saw this coming, although we didn't criticize it the way we should have because Bill Belichick merits a certain amount of deference. If any other coach had been taking long-time defensive coordinator Matt Patricia, making him the offensive coordinator, and a special teams coordinator in Joe Judge and making him quarterback's coach, we'd have been saying, what the hell is this person thinking? And we kind of said it, and I did a little bit restrained and limited with Belichick, but we still gave him the benefit of the doubt. But it was a total disaster. Robert Kraft admitted it last week. It was a disaster. And Mac Jones was the one who had his career thrown into flux because he went from having a great offensive coordinator to a couple of guys who, frankly, didn't know what they were doing because that's not their area of expertise. So it doesn't surprise me that it's escalated to this point because we've seen the escalation one step at a time over the course of the past 7-8 months.
Your source said essentially that it was at some point this year, 2023. When, if you have any information on it, when did Bill begin this process of calling around?
I don't know the answer to that question. I would assume, based upon the annual NFL calendar and the way the sausage gets made, it's something that happens around the scouting combine. It's something that can happen after the season ends. These are discussions that can occur at any time. You know, we've seen trades get done unofficially that officially happen when the new league year begins in the middle of March. So really at any point, those conversations can happen. And once teams address their needs elsewhere, that takes them out of the mix for the possibility of doing the deal. I don't know how serious it was. I don't know how far it went. And how we were talking about this today on PFT Live. I mean, there's a possibility it's just something that was done by Bill to get Mac to fall in line and quit complaining. And basically there's no one else out there that is clamoring to get you. So you better just deal with what we have here, even if you have to compete with Bailey Zappi, even though you think you don't have to compete with Bailey Zappi. So it's just amazing to see such a dysfunctional situation. And it's amazing to see after Tom Brady basically internalized things for so long, to see Mac just not take it from Bill is stunning to me.
Well, that's what Wiggy says, that this is all about being disloyal.
Right. Mike, that's the biggest thing that I learned from my time spending, playing for Bill, that it's really about loyalty and trust. And when things like this kind of come out and, Mac is viewed as, maybe going swimming upstream, how does this relationship get fixed when, I feel like Bill is a guy that he doesn't forget and he rarely ever forgives.
You make a great point. Loyalty and trust have a lot to do with it, but isn't it funny how loyalty and trust is a one-way street a lot of times, right? Where's the loyalty and trust when you entrust your career to a head coach who replaces one of the great offensive minds in football with a couple of guys who aren't offensive minds at all? And you're the one that is throwing the interceptions. You're the one that isn't moving the ball down the field and scoring points, and you're the one that people are going to say stinks, not the coaching staff. So loyalty's got to be a two-way street. And whatever went on, remember when he was injured last year, he suffered the ankle injury against the Ravens, and then he's healthy, he's not healthy, Bailey Zappi's in, Bailey Zappi's out. Were they considering benching him? Was he not going to come back at all? A lot of stuff went down behind the scenes then, and it was all something that was rooted in the basic frustration that Mac Jones has seen what it's like to play offense in the NFL under Josh McDaniels, and then he was the one that was thrown into the middle of this mess with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. And I don't know whether I want to say to his credit. I don't know. It's good for our business that he's this way, but he's not wired to just shut up and take it. And that is something that Bill Belichick is not used to dealing with.
Mike, I just question the one element of this that makes no sense to me is why would Bill Belichick be so open through his people in his disdain for a guy if he was seeking to trade him? Why wouldn't he do the Pete Carroll approach, which was hold all the dirty laundry inside until Russell Wilson signs and is traded with the Broncos? How does it benefit the Patriots if they're going to besmirch the name of the guy they're trying to trade?
Well, look, how much has he really besmirched him? All he's done is not declare him to be the starting quarterback. And I guess the other side of the coin is for him to come out and say, unequivocally, unconditionally, Mac Jones is my starter. Why are you even asking me the question? He's addressed it twice now since the season ended. He was asked, is Mac Jones your starter for 2023? And all he said was, Mac Jones has proven he can play in this league. And then last week at the league meetings, he made it clear there's a competition. But I don't know what makes Bill Belichick tick. I don't know why he thinks what he thinks. And the guy's been so damn successful, he can basically do whatever he wants. And he may never trade him. I don't know. And I don't know if he was really serious about doing it. I don't know what message he was trying to send. But, the bottom line is just because the guy has 6 Super Bowl championships doesn't mean he's completely immune from doing things that, big picture, may not be the smartest things to do.
Mike, there were specific teams related to your report, whether it was the Bucs or the Raiders, and then local reporters in the fallout from the report said that they had sources in both the Raiders organization and the Bucs that said that Mac's name never came across their desk. Is that just something that you think maybe they're carrying the water for the Patriots organization? They don't want this report to come out? Or does that make you kind of... Sorry?
No, I guess my point would be once you've made your plans for quarterback, you don't want to make it look like you had some other plan that you were considering, right? The Raiders have Jimmy Garoppolo now, although I don't rule out a possible run at exploring Mac if the Raiders don't emerge from the draft, from round 1 of the draft with the quarterback. But the Bucs went all in with Baker Mayfield. So they're creating this impression that Mayfield's their guy, and yes, there's a competition with Kyle Trask, but Mayfield's their guy. I think teams that make their decisions and go in a certain direction don't want to do anything to undermine that after the fact. And there's also that still lingering respect/fear of Bill Belichick that you don't want to get on his bad side, and that may be part of it too.
Well, when it comes to the source on this or what you're hearing, what is Mac's mindset at this point after all of that?
I don't know what his mindset is right now, but I know that there's been enough that's percolated over the past several months that he hasn't been thrilled with the way things were handled. He can't be happy that he's got to go compete with Bailey Zappi for the starting job that he believes he earned as a rookie, and last year wasn't his fault. Everything that occurred between his injury and between the coaching issues, it shouldn't be something that's blamed on him. And, if he's there, and at this point we assume he will be there, he's going to have to compete with Zappi, and he's going to have to win the job that way. And it'll make for an interesting season. It'll make for interesting reactions. And Bill O'Brien at least is going to provide a better offensive strategy and game plan and execution than what we saw last year. And maybe things work out well. But, this has become the gift that keeps on giving. This is something that I don't think anybody expected, to have this kind of friction existing between one of the great coaches of all time in any sport and a quarterback who has only 2 seasons in the NFL and already has shown a willingness to speak his mind privately and also to be very visible in his frustrations publicly. We were talking about this today earlier. When Tom Brady would be upset, it was always specifically directed at teammates or the offensive coordinator. There was never any sense specifically or generally that he was upset with Bill Belichick. And with Mac Jones, he was upset with everybody last year when we saw him yelling on the sidelines.
Yeah. All right, Mike Florio, the book comes out on April 25th, Father of Mine?
April 25. It's a novel. It's a novel, a mob novel based in the town I grew up in. Small town mob stuff that was prevalent back in the 70s, set in 1973. My dad was actually connected to the crew that ran the town, so I know a few things about how things happened. It's all fictitious, though. I'm trying to avoid being fitted for cement shoes anytime soon, and I think everybody connected to the crew is dead by now, so I think I'm okay. But it's $4.99 anywhere you get your ebooks, and got a good review from Kirkus, which surprised me. So hopefully people will check it out and read it and not hate it.
All right, Mike, we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
That is Mike Florio.